Hello, welcome to this edition of Ritter's Rant. Today's thematic is patience, or the lack thereof. What I'm referring to is, well, today on my Substack and then on my Telegram channel, the Russia House, we published an interview between myself and Jana, a member of the Russian Duma, and somebody who I view as a hero for her work in rescuing children under combat conditions in the Donbass. The interview is self-explanatory. I don't need to recount what happened there. But because of that interview, it was well received in Russia, and I was approached on how to turn her story into something that would be understood by an American audience. I basically said that the Russians aren't very good at information warfare. They have one of the best stories imaginable. And, why isn't she a household name, not only in Russia, but around the world? Long story short, there was an agreement to move forward with in tentative fashion with a Hollywood type approach to telling her story. And I committed to helping write a screenplay for this. Now, this was supposed to be secret. The only reason why I'm talking about it now is that the cat's out of the bag. Today there was a press conference where issues pertaining to Ukrainian illegal arrest of clergy and Russian opposition figures, came to the forefront, and somebody in the press conference just let it out that I was going to be doing this. And I always feel that rather than to deny or pretend it, just to confront it head on. Yeah, I'm going to write a screenplay. I wish people had the patience to wait for me to write the screenplay before they talked about it, because now there's a whole bunch of pressure on me to do it right. But this is such a compelling story, an easy story to tell, that I think it can be done. And the idea is to turn the screenplay over to the Russian side, and then they will find the talent. Russia's full of talent to turn this screenplay, to fix it up, but to turn it into something, a vehicle for telling Jana's story. But it's like, this is sort of an allegory for this whole process. Putin met with Trump, and they had a meeting in Alaska where they talked about the potential of peace. And here we are, just a few days out, and everybody's just screaming that why hasn't peace broken out all over? But it's a process. It takes time. People need patience. You don't want to jump the gun. You don't want to, write the end of the story before you've even got past the beginning. Patience. Peace takes time. And telling compelling stories take time. It requires a lot of work. It requires a lot of effort. It doesn't happen on the first go around. I imagine this screenplay is going to be received and then torn apart and rewritten and reworked until, at the end of the day, a better story comes out. I have no problem with that. I view myself as part of a team, not a team of one, but a team. Then there will be a team approach to telling Jana's story, just like there's going to have to be a team approach for making peace between Russia and the United States, between Russia and Ukraine, a reality. It takes time. The first effort doesn't survive. People will look at it. People will rip it apart. People will rewrite it. People will reassemble it until, at the end of the day, you get a final product that is, acceptable. That will do the job, but not just do the job half-heartedly. One of the big problems with this Russian-American, peace process is that the United States, pressured, I guess, by Europe, has been seeking to shortcut the process, get a ceasefire, as if a ceasefire is the end all. The ceasefire is just the beginning. If there was a ceasefire, it's a beginning. As the Russians said, the ceasefire doesn't solve anything. It's a comprehensive peace plan that solves things. And so the Russians were able to convince the United States to drop the concept of a ceasefire and move straight into a comprehensive peace plan. That's the first rewrite. And there will be more rewrites. Right now, the United States and Europe are talking about, security guarantees. And their initial draft talks about Article 5-like protections. There will be no Article 5-like protections. This isn't going to happen. Article 5 is a unique clause in the NATO alliance. It doesn't apply to Ukraine. They can call it Article 5, but the reality is it will be something far different because, Article 5 implies that Ukraine is going to be left with a 700,000 strong NATO-trained army. The Russians have said that that's unacceptable. There will be demilitarization, 50,000 strong, no NATO weaponry, no NATO structures, which means that Europe's fantasy of projecting NATO power into Ukraine, is a non-starter. Will there be peacekeepers in Ukraine? Probably. Will they be from Europe? Absolutely not. But this is a process. It's going to be worked out. And I look forward to the process of writing the screenplay. I really do. I've blocked it out. I have a narrative in mind, and I'm going to put pen to paper and make this thing happen. And then I'm going to turn it over. And I'll bet you a dime to a dollar, a kopeck to a ruble, that within a week they'll have torn it apart and reassembled it and come up with something new, something better. That's what a process is all about. We have a process of telling a compelling story, and now we have a process for peace, and they both require patience. Anyways, that's my rant. Next time a thought crosses my mind, I'll be sure to let you know. Thanks.